genuinely really excited, somewhat humbled to be standing up here this morning. It's amazing to see so many people. We're just shy of 300 delegates here this morning, which is a phenomenal achievement for our first ever conference. I spent the last few weeks discussing and meeting with the MMC board, a number of the board members, and Carol Talon and her team from Property District. And I just want to say what they have achieved in less than 12 months to have over 50 new members from a standing start, resulting in this conference today with 300 delegates at it, is a phenomenal achievement. And it did blow me away when I was talking to the guys around what has been the history of MMC Ireland. Now, what that has done for us as a body, and what it has done for me personally, is give me a fantastic foundation to move forward with this body over the next months and years, which I intend to take advantage of. There's a couple of things and a couple of points I want to get across, because I have strictly 10 minutes, not 110, and those two things are timing and collaboration. So on timing, every year for probably the last 10 years, just for context, I've been working in this sector for just over 30 years, and the last 15 have been spent working in the UK. And probably over the last 10 years, I can honestly say every year I've heard this is a critical time for our industry. Now, what I would say is in Ireland, it really is a critical time for our industry, and it's the first time that I've actually believed it's a critical time for our industry. It's been driven somewhat by the Ukrainian refugee program, which Owen and Kieran will discuss later on today in more detail. But what that has done for our sector is awaken the politicians and the commentators to MMC, to modular housing, and a few other catchphrases that they use. Some people know what they're talking about, and some people don't know what they're talking about, which we will deal with under a whole separate agenda. But what that has done for us is given us access to government that we've never had before. I watched a joint Oireachtas committee hearing last month, 2nd of May, which went on for 3 hours on modern methods of construction, no less. Couldn't believe there was a joint Oireachtas committee hearing on modern methods of construction, and believe it or not, it actually is really worth the watch. Some of the guest speakers here today, some of the panellists were at that hearing, and what stood out for me above all else was the questions being asked by the politicians. So the questions being asked were really pertinent questions and educated questions about MMC. And one of the questions that stuck out to me was what can we as a government do for you? How can we help you? How can we help you succeed? And our role as MMC Ireland, and my role as the CEO of that organisation, is to answer those questions. And I'll answer those questions with case studies, facts, what has worked in other countries, what hasn't worked in other countries, not just sound bites. So that's what I will do as CEO. Like, my job ultimately boils down to helping our government buy from our members. And that's one of the first things that I will do. We've already had a number of requests from politicians looking for us to meet. One of those meetings takes place this week, and a follow-up next week. So that's point number one. Point number two is collaboration. So collaboration is one of the hardest things to do in any industry, in any sector, because we're all protective of what we have. We're all protective of our IP, and we feel threatened if we give it away. You hear so many people saying that collaboration is needed in this sector for the sector to succeed. I don't fully agree with that, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's my own personal opinion. I think the industry will succeed without collaboration. But what I do really believe is that if we collaborate as an industry, we will excel, and the success for our members and for our supply chain will come quicker than if we don't collaborate. The only way collaboration works is if there's a sustained pipeline of standardised solutions that we can build. Now, for context, there's some really innovative people working in the HSE. The HSE have a significant capital programme over the coming years. This will be shared with our members in due course. But what the HSE are doing, for the first time ever, is designing standardised accommodation solutions that can be built in factories. That's never happened before, ever, but it's happening now. Our members will feed into that and ensure that what's being designed can be built by people in this room. So part of our role is to ensure and help government do that for housing and do it for education. So the pipeline is coming, and that will become evident over the next number of weeks. What we need to do is collaborate with each other, collaborate with government to ensure the pipeline that comes is the right pipeline, not just a pipeline. It's a pipeline that we can build, that we have worked with government in designing, so that when the work comes, there's no redesign. We can just build because we've been involved in the process throughout. And we will ensure that that happens. We'll be the fulcrum between our members in the room and the government departments. So, in conclusion, MMC Ireland, I'm only in post a short space of time. I've been blown away by the enthusiasm, by the professionalism, by the drive. Like, it's in its infancy, but its members aren't in their infancy. The members are best in class. And my job, which I will perform to the best of my ability, is to help the government help us. So thank you.